Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Vibe. And for those of you who are just tuning in, Vibe is an acronym for Virtuous, Intelligent, Beautiful Energy. And you'll notice that this is a special edition of Vibe because usually I have a panel of women, but today I thought it would be interesting for us to hear the male's perspective on parenting. So I'm going to introduce everyone. I have Bishop Thomas Jefferson here with us. Thank you for joining us. And then I have Jim, and how do you pronounce your last name?
Lupica.
Okay, all right. And I have Pharaoh Jabari Hill joining us also. Okay.
What's that?
And yeah, we have three fathers, and I'm very interested to know what is your viewpoint. And I have a few questions for you all. And my first question is there anything that you wish you knew then that you know now about parenting? And the first person that I'm going to ask that question to is Bishop Thomas Jefferson. Could you answer that?
Yes. I would basically say I wish I'd known everything about parenting because there's no manual, and as you go on, it's like a journey because each stages of their lives they actually need you, and I think the basics, when we first became fathers, I can speak for myself. I looked at it like, okay, I have to provide for them, and then and I was focused on that. But then there's a nurturing side that comes into play as well. And then I started really working on that. And being that I have boys and girls, it's kind of challenging because they're both different. I mean, they're all different in their own ways, and each child is different. So I wish I kind of listened more on that aspect earlier, or kind of like had a manual on that, because every kid's not the same, and you think you got it down and you mastered the game, and then the next thing you know, another kid pops up with a totally different personality, totally different listening levels and attentiveness and so forth. And then but yeah, manual will be very helpful.
Yeah, right. Okay, all right, very good. Jim, how about you? Is there anything you knew then that you know now?
I mean, kind of echoing what Bishop said. I mean, I think a lot of people think they have a manual and they write books. They write all these books about parenting and what to do, what not to do. But I think I mean, that's helpful and all, but I think you just have to kind of get in there. And, once you have the kid, you have the child, and then the hospital just allows you to bring this little ball of flesh home with you. And you don't know what you're doing. Like, I remember my first daughter. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. My first daughter, we brought her home and we're like, all right, what do we do now? So it's like you just do what the hospital kind of trains you on what to do, and how to change the diaper and how to feed and all that stuff. But it was rough. I mean, my daughter got RSV, which is like a respiratory viral disease, when she was like 1 month old, and okay. I got my wife calling me at work. We're in the ambulance going to the Akron Children's Hospital. It's like, it was crazy. So it's like life doesn't it doesn't. There's not a manual that prepares you for life, so life's so unpredictable. And it's like, you just kind of have to go every day, day by day, and just take it as it is. And I mean, that's why we have, and I know your platform is to teach families and, communities. And I mean, I think we have to rely on our families. We have to rely on our community. We have to rely on certain programs and certain, organizations out there that can help us, churches, schools, that are there, to help people that don't know what they're doing. And I think that's very important. And I think we need to more outreaches that reach out to our communities and to help those, there's a lot of young people out there that are having kids, and, I see it every day in my school, and a lot of them, they're just babies themselves, so, and I feel like I'm 43. I feel like I'm a baby sometimes, so I'm still working through some stuff. So, I just think, just go in and rely on those people. There's people around you to help you. So just rely on those people. I wish I would have known that a little earlier too. So.
Right. Okay, Jabari, is there anything that you wish you knew then that you know now?
Um, Let me think. The only thing that I can really think of is when I look back at it, probably like the financials of it all. Like when I didn't have kids, when I was in my 20s, for some reason I thought that to have kids is just an obscene amount of money and it's just crazy, which it is expensive. But after I had the first baby or whatever, and I started seeing, I'm like, wow, this isn't so bad. I didn't have to be afraid to do this. You know what I mean? It's not that bad financially, as bad as I thought it was, as bad as I made it out to be in my mind when I was in my 20s.
Okay, okay. Now my next, okay, okay. Now my next question is, what about discipline? Discipline. Now, okay, Bishop, you have two daughters and three sons. Okay, who does the discipline in the family most of the time?
I would say for the girls, it would be Bridget, and then when they were coming up, uh, I would probably say we kind of split it, and it seems like when they got older to like junior high, high school level, I was more into it with the grounding and setting a standard, so to speak. And then when they were younger, in the younger years, my wife, if they did something wrong, like if they were touching something they weren't supposed to, she'd pop their hand or, discipline them. And, me, I was more of the punisher, like no TV, you can't go out or whatever, or be back in at this certain time. But when it came to the basic initial disciplining, it pretty much came from her because I was in the Marines at the time and I was jumping all around the world, and then when I came back, I had to readjust to that mode as well. But I think the majority of the disciplining hands-on came from my wife,
All right. Okay, now
Bridget.
let me ask you this question. Okay, since now you have boys and girls. Now Jim
Yes.
has two girls, Jabari has two girls. Now, how is it different disciplining girls than boys?
Thank you. I'm glad you said that because the boys is starting out in life. You just have to keep them alive because they do dangerous things that are like life endangering things, like jumping off of things or running around not paying attention more. And then it seemed like as the older the girls got, I was more hands-on with them when it came to dating, when it came to like liking boys and things like that. So I had to shift. So it seemed like, and even with the boys, you have to watch them throughout the time as well, all stages of their lives. But a lot of my focus went to the girls when they became old enough to start liking boys, and then that never stops, So it's like
You're scared.
that's the
You're
thing.
scaring me.
Yeah, you guys got a lot to look forward to when they get older, I'm telling you. And then when it came to the boys, it was like when they got to a certain age, it was easier to relate to them because their thought processes were it was pretty similar to mine at that age group. When they started liking girls, I was able to help guide them through that, getting over asking the first girl out, asking the first girl if she would be your girlfriend, things like that, working up the guts for that type of attitude. And then also it was a mentoring process of how to treat them once they are your girlfriend. It's different than treating your friends the same way you do as your girlfriend. And there's a difference, and then explaining to them that. So it's like a constant process, but with the boys, I was more familiar with them, their thought processes than I was with the girls. And then the girls, they're more affectionate towards dad, like they'll come and hug me and all that. And, and what dad doesn't want that, so
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Very good. What about you, Jim? You have two daughters. And first
Yeah.
of all, let me just say this. How old are your daughters?
7 and 5.
Okay, now, Bishop, how old are your daughters?
Wow,
You
37
have one that's like
and 20.
30, in her 30s,
Yeah,
right?
37, and then one that's 24, and
Okay,
then my sons are 31, 15 and 16.
okay, right. Okay,
Mhm.
so Jim, you got two small daughters, and so do you, Jabari. Okay, now, Jim, how do you, or do you discipline your daughters?
Yeah, it's kind of in between my wife and myself. My wife they tend to be around her a lot more because when I'm at work, and then I bring them home. We actually partner with the disciplining. I feel like they tend to listen to my wife a little bit more because I'm more the silly one. So I'm the more that, I'm the person that plays with them a little bit more.
Okay.
The fun dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm a typical girl dad, so I know that's a term now, but yeah, but so I'm like the more the fun one, where mom is more I think she's more looked at as the serious one. But then sometimes it flips where mom's more, mom's a little more, joking around, messing with them a little bit, and then I'm the more serious one. So I think we kind of bounce it off each other. I feel like being a teacher, can I bring being a teacher into this a little bit?
Yes, yes.
I feel like being a teacher sometimes is kind of like held me back from disciplining sometimes because I see it in school all the time where, a lot of kids aren't getting disciplined the way I feel they should be. And it might not be my place to say in certain situations, but I just feel that sometimes I hold back because I can't really discipline in the classroom. So sometimes it feels like I have to hold back when, it's my kids. I can basically, discipline them how I need to, and however the situation presents itself. But yeah, I just feel like we try to do it both. If one girl, if one girl goes up to my wife and says, "Mommy, can I have this?" and she says no, and then she comes to me and says, "Daddy, can I have this?" I always ask mom. I'm always like, "Mom, can did
Yep.
she ask already?" And she's like, "Yeah, she already asked me for candy." Halloween just came up, so we have tons of candy. Mom, Dad, can I have some candy? Let me ask mom first because I know you're
Yep.
trying to get over on me. So
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Very well said. Okay, Jabari, how,
Well, yeah, like you say, I got
yeah,
two girls, so their
and
mother
their
basically
their
uh,
ages,
ages 5 and 9.
right, okay.
You know, so she's like the main discipline. They give her more of a hard time than me. So it's like, you know, I don't really get I don't see myself doing that much disciplining. Um, sometimes I tell them like, hey, if y'all keep on acting up, I'm gonna tell mom, I'm gonna tell y'all mom, like she gonna get y'all, or sometimes uh they might do something. I might say, look, if you be good for the rest of the day, I won't tell your mom what you did. It'll be something like that. You know,
that's
um,
the truth.
what I try to show my kids is that whenever I am telling them to do something, they need to be doing it because it's probably about their own safety. You know,
Mhm.
but once they started to get that down packed, they listen to me more. So I really don't really have to do too much. Sometimes I gotta raise my voice, but I'm never like giving whoopings or nothing like that. That's
Right.
very like rare that I
Right.
really
And,
Mhm.
get doing.
I've heard a lot of men say that they don't spank their daughters because they don't want them to feel that a man has a right to hit them.
Yeah, I feel that way. I mean, the girls, I more or less discipline them by punishment. Vice the boys, when they were little, I would, pop them a little bit on their rear end just to get their attention. And then, but even with them, I didn't dole out a lot of physical discipline. Mine was more of a mental thing. Like, I would take something away from them, like their tablets or their cell phones or something like that to get their attention, and then expect different behavior from that. And when it comes to my wife, she was more verbal with them. But the guys, we have something in our voice, that bass. And when the boys hear that, if I say stop doing that, they'll freeze in their tracks, and they'll stop and they'll turn around and listen, like, okay, move, or if I call their names, if I say, Antonio, or, Trey, or BJ, when he was younger, they would automatically, did I do something wrong? No, you didn't do anything wrong. Did you do something wrong? You know, like that. So it was a little different, more or less the verbal, and they can hear the inflection in my voice, and they know that they did something wrong, or if they were in trouble. And I use that, but sometimes you have to switch up because when they get used to it, then you have to do different tactics. So every kid is different, you know.
Because they get immune to whatever kind
They
of
get
discipline
immune.
that happens also in the classroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I used to also teach, you know, well, my viewers, they know that, but I can tell you from experience, yeah, after a while, children get immune to a certain type of discipline, and then you have to change up.
Yeah.
So now I'd like to ask you all, how are you active in your kids' lives? Like Bishop, you can answer that one.
Always, even the ones that are grown, they call you for advice from time to time. When they were going through college, they needed a lot of help with certain things, you know, not just money, but it's more or less, sometimes they want to hear your voice or how you would handle a situation. And I can remember one time BJ had called me or I called him and we were talking about something and I was talking to him and it got so quiet. And I said, "Hey, are you there?" He said, "Yeah, I'm listening to everything, sir." You know, like almost like he was taking notes. So that's some years of having a good relationship, you know, with him that it was more or less, I was like coaching him up, you know, just mentoring because at a certain time when they get older, you become more of a mentor slash friend slash father slash, you know, so many different hats, you know, and then the girls constantly with dating advice. You know, I try to tell them, you know, one of the things I did with all of the girls is that I would take them out on daddy-daughter dates. You know, I would take them out, I'd open the doors for them, I'd say they look beautiful, I would walk them in, you know, we go to a nice restaurant, I'd take them out to eat, or we go to a movie and we'd have a one-on-one conversation, and they really appreciated that. And then I told them at the end of the date, I said, don't accept anything less than a guy, you know, from a guy that's dating you, you know, so like I'm opening up the doors for you, he should open up the doors for you. I'm taking you out. If I ask you out, then I should pay the bill. You know, I make the arrangements for it because I enjoy your time like that. So that's what I would do. And that way, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking like, I don't want a guy to take my daughter to McDonald's and her think he's the greatest guy in the world. Not that McDonald's is bad, but just like, oh, he took me out. He cares about me. Now I'm obligated to do something for him, you know? So I wanted to take them out so they could understand that we're having fun and I'm respecting you. And, you know, I set a precedent with them,
Right.
you know, like that. That's what I tried to do.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. And what about you, Jim? How are you active in your kids' lives?
I just want to kind of piggyback off what you just said, Bishop. I think the most important thing when you have kids, I've learned, especially being a teacher and a parent, is that you have to get the child one-on-one. You can't just take all your kids out. I mean, it's good to be, you know, it's good to have family time and to have everyone together and have mom and the kids and everybody together, even, you know, grandma, whoever, coming together and, you know, doing whatever you got to do as a family. But I think it's very important to show children that they are important, that one person is important. Now, they're not the most important person in the world because, you know, you got to teach them there's other people in the world. But when you're focusing on that one person or that one child or that one student, it shows them that they're important and that you're here for them. You're not here for, you know what I mean? And, you know, you said you open the door for your daughters, you know, I'm sure you push in the seat, you pay for the meal, show them a good time because, yeah, like you said, you want that good example. You want her to know what a good man is and what a counterfeit man is. And like, I used to work with money when I used to work at this drugstore. We used to work with money all the time. And they would teach you, I guess, like when they teach you about money and like counterfeit bills, they don't teach you what the counterfeits look like. They teach you what the real thing looks like. So when you see a counterfeit, you know right away that that's not real. That's not true. So you're going to be spending all your time, you know, well, don't date this guy, don't date this guy, don't date this guy, don't date this girl, whatever. when in fact you should, like you said, you should be showing them who the real person should be, who is the person that's going to respect you, and then they can see other people that aren't respecting them, and then they can say like, oh, I don't like this personality because it's not like my dad, or it's not like, you know, my brother, or whoever. So I mean, that's a great point that you brought up. So I'm sorry, just kind of went off on a tangent, but
No,
No,
that
no,
was
good.
good.
Thank
That
you.
was very good.
I love what you said right there. And like, to kind of go back to my whole family. I mean, I just, like I said, I'm the silly one with my daughters. You know, I'm into comedians, so I love when someone comes back with like a quick like comedic, you know, joke, or a comedic, like,
Yeah.
you know, my buddies and I, we're always throwing like, you know, I mean, we're guys, so we're always like, you know, bashing each other. And, you know, I'm hanging out with my friends in a couple hours from now, and you know, I'm sure we'll just, you know, rip each other apart, and we love each other, you know. But with my girls, like I will say silly things to them, you know, we joke around, and then my daughter will get me back on something, you know, she'll call me, you know, weird or whatever, and then, you know, we laugh about it, and, you know, gotta wait, make sure she doesn't take it too far. But no, but it's, you know, it's joking around, showing them to have, you know, a sense of humor, how to have a good time. You know, we're always like messing around, we're always rolling around, wrestling, we're always playing, you know, I'm always, you know, I have pictures of myself, you know, don't look for them on the internet, but I have pictures of myself in a princess, you know, gown, and
I've
playing,
done that.
yeah, you know, playing tea party. But that's the thing. It's like, it's that silly, you know, interaction. It's that, you know, fun. And, you know, like we said before, you have to be the disciplinarian, but you don't want them to be scared of you. I mean,
Right.
there's a healthy fear, you know, like if, you know anything about like God and the Bible, there's people say, well, fear God. Well, that doesn't mean like be scared of God. That just means like a reverence. That means a respect. So your kid should have that respect for you. And there's a lot of families that don't have that. And it really makes me like kind of sad that, you know, when I see a child, you know, yelling at their parent, and the kid's like 5 years old, it's like, no. If you did that to me, I would, you know, I tell my kids all the time, if you treated me that same way that kid's treating that, you know, that mother or that father, I would rip everything out of your room. You would just have a, you know, a mattress on the floor,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, so I feel like, you know, having that mutual respect, and like you said, I want them to stay little, you know, their whole life basically. But, you know, one day they're going to be teenagers, they're going to be, you know, adults, they're going to be older adults. And yeah, I want them to know that I'm here for them. And like you guys, I mean, I commend you guys for being, you know, there for your children. And it's like, they need to know that. So showing them that they're important, showing them that one-on-one time, and even, you know, just having them, you know, come to you whenever they need you. That's great. You know?
Oh. Hey, everybody, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. I'm having technical difficulties right now.
Okay.
No, I'm okay now. Okay, just had a little issue there, but this is a great discussion. And so, Jabari, how are you active in your children's lives?
Oh man, you know, everything. I feel like when the love is there, then you know you're naturally active. I never looked at it as being active. You know, it's just always came natural to me to be there for them. You know, we got the daddy daughter days. Whether it's helping with homework, cooking meals, you know, taking them places, all of that is, you know, it's just natural to me. So I'm active in every way possible in their life, you know. Yeah, and I agree, because I always thought in my mind, like, yeah, as me being the first man to love my daughters, they'll always have that reference point, so that when they are dating men, they got something to go off of. They know, like, hey, this not a quality from somebody who wants to protect me. This not a quality of somebody that loves me, because they got that example to go off of. So, you know, yeah, that, you know, I agree with what y'all was saying, man, because that's very important to show them that, you know, it's guys out here that is not gonna mean them no good, you know, and they're gonna have to be able to spot that, you know. So just being there, active in their life, and explaining things whenever they need to talk, you know, just everything. You got to be active in every aspect, and I think that's what it's all about. I think that if you do that, then you know you're doing more than your part, you know. As a
Yeah.
And the caveat of what you're saying, Jabari, is that I felt that same way. And I wanted the girls to also see us resolve conflict. So if my wife and I, if my wife was upset about something like, oh, you turn right, you should have turned left, instead of me saying you drive and hand her the keys and get out of the car and walk around, something like that. Like some people might have handled that. I just sit back and say, well, we're taking a scenic route or this and that, Uh, so I try to show them how couples that love each other, we may have conflict from time to time, but we resolve it in a peaceful manner, so the boys and the girls can see that, to see conflict resolution being done in a peaceful, intelligent format. Also, when they get older, the guys, instead of taking them on a father-son date, we would call it guy time. I need some guy time. Let's go. And then they would come up to me and they would say something like, hey, Dad, we need guy time, and I'll say, okay. And we would just do something like an activity. I might, take them to the gym. After that, we get something to eat or something, or a smoothie, and then after that, while we're driving, we're talking about things at their level, one-on-one, just like Jim was saying, because each of them are different, and each of you guys as girls have an age difference between them. So one of them's in princess land and the other one's in like, what's this thing called boys and dates, like that now, and again at that level, and it's like, whoa, let's go back down to coloring and, all that stuff. But like Jim was saying earlier, and it's like when they hit that level, there is a certain amount of nervousness that you get because, it's coming now. And you don't want them to be at a point where because they're going to go to their friends or their significant others at that point for advice on things, but you just want them to keep you in the loop so they can use you as a resource as well, instead of just canceling you out, and saying, I've got it now, Dad, and this and that, because that can lead to trouble. So I always try to stay there and be a voice of reasoning when they ask me. And my wife and I, we play on each other real well with that, because she has her girl time and guy time with them as well. And her being a former teacher as well, she knows about their thought processes and how they handle things at each level. And so we're always like one step ahead of them, because it does take a village literally to raise a child. Grandparents are crucial too. Aunts, their Auntie Mamie, I mean, when she comes in, it's like rock star status. So if Auntie Mamie isn't pleased, if she heard something and she says it like, yeah, you weren't doing well with this and that, why is that? And then they feel like, you told Auntie Mamie or whatever, So it's kind of like, it takes an entire village to constantly be in their lives.
That is so true. And with that being said, I'm going to just thank you all for being my guest on today's show. And everything that you all said was very valuable, very interesting. And I hope my viewers enjoyed this episode. And I hope that my viewers, I hope they tell me what they feel about this episode in the comments. And those people watching me on Roku, I will give you a website that you can go to and leave comments. But thank you all very much. And everyone have a nice evening. All right, bye-bye. Thank you for watching, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Right, thank you.
I'm gonna edit this part out.